I want to learn something that I have been grappling with over the last couple of weeks. Something that for some reason I just cannot buy into. Something for some reason I just simply cannot trust. Call me skeptical, call me a cynic, call me whatever you want to call me. But what I want to learn this weekend is the Daniel Jones MVP hype for real? Are the Colts for real? Or is this just an early season feel good story that all gives us warm fuzzies at the possibility of a career renaissance for Daniel Jones? The possibility that Daniel Jones is the next Geno Smith or Sam Darnold? I want to learn that this weekend. And this will be the biggest test that the Colts have faced all season long. Yes, Daniel Jones has looked like an MVP contender against the Titans and against a Dolphins team that is probably going to have a top 3 pick this upcoming draft. But the Rams are a legitimate contender. The Rams have talent up and down that roster. The Rams have a defense that are going to be able to get after Daniel Jones. The Rams have a defense that can confuse Daniel Jones, that might take Jonathan Taylor away from Daniel Jones. So this is the ultimate test. And I think that we can get the answer to that even in a Colts loss. How does Daniel Jones look in this game? But if, like I said, I will peel away all of the skepticism that I have. If Daniel Jones can will his team to victory against the Rams in LA, I'll buy into it. I'll be able to buy in. But that's what I want to learn this weekend. Is Daniel Jones or the Colts for real?
At some point, Baker just it changed. The conversation changed around Baker. At some point, I think the conversation even changed around Geno from where it was to where it is now. And I think we're watching the conversation truly change around Darnold in a real palpable way. You're right. A win or even just a really electric game by Daniel Jones will force more conversation change to happen around Daniel Jones, around the Colts, around the way we view that franchise. And frankly, as many people have pointed out, it will only raise more questions about what the Giants had in the building that they couldn't figure out how to utilize. You hired a head coach in New York that was supposed to be able to make the most of a quarterback, and now we're watching another head coach do it in real time right in front of everybody. One thing I want to learn, speaking of Sam Darnold and reclamation projects, can Carson Wentz be Sam Darnold? Because let's be honest, right now, like the Vikings fans thought it was going to be the year of JJ and that they were so good as a roster that it wouldn't matter. They could develop their way around it. Everything would be fine. Well, now it's Carson, and it's Carson for a little bit. And the question is, can Carson Wentz have the same sort of impact to the Vikings that Sam Darnold had? Because, frankly, if you're Minnesota, you thought you were in a Super Bowl window. You won 14 games last year. You could have kept Sam Darnold in the building. You chose not to. Now, action has consequence. So, certainly nobody could have anticipated, I guess, another J.J. McCarthy injury. Absolutely. But when you had the opportunity to keep a quarterback in the room that did win you 14 games last year, you chose not to do it, which means you needed to have faith that the current quarterback room could get you into that same realm. Now that means we need Carson Wentz to be absolutely great. You see the numbers there. He was great on quick throws, ... versus the Bengals. Let's see if that can continue for Carson Wentz. Let's see if KOC can continue to be the quarterback whisperer because Minnesota has too much on the line to let it go. All right, give me a question that you want answered.
I would like to know this weekend, is Mike Vrabel really better than Jerod Mayo? I mean, like, I know that might sound crazy because everyone in New England, whenever Mike Vrabel was hired, was absolutely clamoring that that's our guy. He's coming back home. Mike Vrabel won a Super Bowl here as a player, and he's going to win a Super Bowl here as a coach. And he and Drake May and the entire Patriots fan base are going to run off into the sunset together. But what we've seen from Mike Vrabel so far with the Patriots is a whole bunch of doo-doo. There was a comparison on the broadcast. 27 penalties so far for the New England Patriots through 3 games. Jerod Mayo in 2024, 13. The Patriots have turned the ball over 6 times so far this season. Throughout the same number of games in Jerod Mayo's tenure last year, just once, just 1 turnover. And we're talking about a rookie Drake May last year versus a second-year Drake May this year. Mike Vrabel's 1-2. Jerod Mayo through 3 games last year was 1-2. Now, those could be anecdotal. We might just be pulling little stats here and there. I do understand that. If you were to ask me today, who do I want coaching my team, Mike Vrabel or Jerod Mayo, I would take Mike Vrabel every single time and twice on Sundays. But it brings up a very fair question about just how good of a coach really is Mike Vrabel. I watched it. I witnessed firsthand his downfall in Tennessee. Then 2021, the Tennessee Titans were the number 1 overall seed in the AFC, even in a year where Derrick Henry missed significant time with a foot injury. That Mike Vrabel was the coach that brought Ryan Tannehill back from the ashes when we all thought that he was kind of dead. That Mike Vrabel is a good coach, but he has fatal flaws. Penalties are issues. Turnovers are issues. He can be sometimes just way too hard headed to not look at a massive issue staring him right in the face. That Mike Vrabel might not make adjustments or might not adjust his philosophy enough to put on the field a legitimate winning football team. So I have to ask myself, Mike Vrabel, if you're not going to get right this weekend, when will you?
I think the Patriots are exactly who I thought they were going to be. And to me, I said coming into the year, the Patriots were a 7-win team, 6-7-win team that feels like they're much better by the end of the year, and they're getting it figured out. I think it takes time for Drake May to really get command of Josh McDaniels' offense, the entire offense to get command of what they're being asked to do there. And I think it takes a minute to turn things around. I don't want to be over judgmental too quickly because I keep preaching
But
patience.
27 penalties in 3 games?
You're right. And this is a team that's 1-2. And remember, Vegas said coming into the year that they were going to be the favorite 10 times. So Vegas was telling you that this was a 10 or 11 win football team. What about the Patriots so far has looked like a 10 or 11 win football team? So I think
they look like they're going to have the 10th or 11th overall pick more than a 10 or 11 win football team.
And this is something you and I have talked about for years, that, at some point, part of this comes from the fact that nobody watched the Titans. So everybody saw Vrabel a certain kind of way because of his personality and because you watch it on Red Zone and because he's fun and like there's an interview quality to him and players love him and there's a vibe and an energy to it. But like, how many Patriots fans actually sat there and watched all of the games during the Titans' time where they were actually good to look at what Mike Vrabel is as a coach? So I think that there is some element of this that you're right. I think part of this is just we overblew the reputation of Vrabel, and then we suddenly turned it into everything is Jerod Mayo's fault. I want to give you one more question I need answered this weekend. Is Michael Penix Jr. on thin ice? And it's funny because, again, consistency here, right? He only played a few games last year. I kept pointing out that he had under 1,000 yards passing, and we decided that he was going to be absolutely the next great quarterback. Well, you got to expect some struggles here. So I'm trying to be patient in watching the development. But Penix Jr. was so bad in the last game that he got pulled for Kirk Cousins. Now, the coaching staff came out and said, hey, this is not a Kirk situation. It was just one bad game. What happens if one bad game becomes 2 bad games? That's why I've said consistently there's a reason Kirk Cousins wasn't allowed to go somewhere else. There's a reason the Falcons weren't interested in trading him. They paid him $100 million in case they needed him, whether it was as a backup or whether it was because, maybe Michael Penix Jr. didn't become an elite star. We need to re-examine last year's quarterback draft class, including Michael Penix Jr., with the information we have right now, because I don't know what proof we actually have that Penix Jr. is going to be epic. So I got to wonder, if he comes out and has another bad game, is he on thin ice?
I think he very well could be. And if you're the Falcons, it's really attractive to bring in a veteran quarterback that's going to help you win a whole bunch of football games. And the Falcons might look at it and say, hey, like, we play in a pretty crap division. We might just be more competent quarterback play away from being, potentially a playoff team. So I want to see more from Michael Penix. I want to see that, man, like, he's got it kind of moment. I haven't seen that from Michael Penix so far yet, or at least I haven't seen enough of those moments stitched together back to back to say, okay, yes, I see the wheels turning. I see him getting better. I see Michael Penix as I want to invest more into Michael Penix's development versus potentially looking elsewhere. I want Michael Penix Jr. to be successful because we've seen it. We've seen just the raw talent. We saw it at Washington. He's got a heck of an arm. He's got an absolute hose. I want to see that come to fruition and those pieces be put together in the National Football League.
He is completing so far in his career 58% of his passes for 1,380 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. Now, this is where I said yesterday with Travis Hunter that we jump to judgment too quickly, right? I think sometimes what happens, good or bad, we jump to judgment too quickly. So somebody has a couple of good games. It's like, oh, we figured it out. We got a quarterback of the future. Somebody has a couple bad games to start it out. Oh, we got a massive problem. Dump the guy. He's a bum. We screwed up the draft. None of that's true. What you're going to have to do if you're a Falcons fan and you really want Michael Penix Jr. to have the shot is give him time to cook. The problem is the Falcons are a team that's in a weird situation. Like, they have a roster worthy of the playoffs. So if their quarterback is playing them out of that conversation, then you owe it to the entire organization to change that. But if you have a roster that's not in the playoffs, sure, go get them the time. So that's why every one of these situations, Caroline, is so different. And to me, at some point, we've just got to look at it with a more patient eye. That being said, again, I will echo for everybody all offseason that said Penix. He's barely played any damn football. He's not completing 60% of his passes, and his touchdown to interception ratio is terrible. So we have no proof that he's actually a franchise quarterback right now versus Kirk Cousins, who, while Kirk Cousins may not be Dan Marino, as I mentioned earlier, we at least know that Kirk can lead you to some wins.
He's not going to commit the fatal mistake. And now, if you go to Kirk Cousins, I think that's making kind of a big statement. That if you go to Kirk Cousins, and then what happens? Kirk Cousins throws the pick in a most inopportune time, then you put Michael Penix Jr. back in there, and then now you kind of have a carousel at the quarterback position. What does that do to
you have Bryce Young all over again?
You have Bryce Young. And do you want Bryce Young? What is that going to do to Michael Penix's psyche? What is that going to do to his confidence moving forward? If you believe that Michael Penix Jr. is the future of your franchise, which I would hope they do if they take him with the 8th overall pick in the draft, I would hope they believe that he's their future. I think you have to give him at least a little bit of a longer leash, because once you go to Kirk, you can't go back.
Which is why, everybody said on draft day it was a terrible strategy to draft Michael Penix Jr. Everybody said midway through the year last year that it was a brilliant strategy. And now we're looking around saying, I don't even know. It's just the immediate reaction is so often so damn wrong. And most importantly, the Falcons need to figure it out. I don't care how you do it. You need to make sure that you have a quarterback that can win you games. I just don't think that there's an easy answer on what that looks like. And I don't think that Michael Penix Jr. has shown us anything yet to get the benefit of the doubt to clearly remain in a position where he can provide